What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Miss Pyromaniac back again with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Last Epoch. Now, Last Epoch is an ARPG that has been in early access since 2018, and it just released, and it's freaking awesome. Now, what makes this game different from any other ARPG on the market, say like Path of Exile or Diablo IV? Well, this game is not as complicated as Path of Exile, and it's not as easy and boring and repetitive as Diablo IV. Strikes the perfect balance. It's really right smack down the middle. It's fairly easy to get into the game. You don't need to watch a ton of videos just like Path of Exile, because when I played Path of Exile, let me tell you, before I even started playing, I had to watch a bunch of videos. I watched like a 6-hour tutorial for Zizarin. 6 hours just to understand the basics of the game, and that didn't even cover endgame. I mean, that's crazy. The amount of time and effort you have to put in a Path of Exile for it to be good, it's just too much for some people. It just is. I mean, Path of Exile is great and all of that, but it's too difficult to get into. In Diablo IV, pretty easy. You can just pick up the game, but it's too simple. It's too simple. It's made for the casual 40-year-old dad that can only play for half an hour or an hour, because honestly, if you play Diablo 4 for more than that, it's boring as hell. This is my opinion, though. And that's where Last Epoch comes in. You can just pick up the game and start playing. You don't need to be a genius. All you need to do is read a little bit. I mean, there's a bit of reading that you have to do, but it's all in game. That's all you have to do. Just read your skills, understand your skills. It doesn't really get too complicated. It can get too complicated, but that's only if you're min-maxing. If you just want to pick up the game and have fun, I mean, it's not hard to understand that you have a lightning ability, and if you add lightning damage, it's going to get better. You'll probably reach endgame pretty easily. And listen, if you somehow create a horrible build, you can just respec with a press of a button. So if you're a casual player that just wants to relax and play a chill game, Last Epoch, you can do that with Last Epoch. You actually can. You just run around, pick the skills that you like, and that's it. You'll get pretty far in the game. You won't reach the very end game. You may be able to do a little bit of end game, just this beginning of end game. Till then, you can have a lot of fun. And the main story, the MSQ, is actually fun. It's interesting. It's not boring. It's not too long, and it's not too short. It's just perfect. So you got that to play around with. And you don't even have to play endgame. You know, what I found a lot of fun is just finishing the main quest and then making a new class, trying something else. That's actually fun. And why is it fun? It's because of the skills. So let me explain something. Each skill has a different skill tree, and you can equip 5 skills in your bar, so that's 5 skill trees. And then you got your passive skill tree, so that's 6 skill trees in total that you gotta worry about. I know, this sounds like a lot, this sounds daunting, but it's still not as much as Path of Exile's one huge ass skill tree, but it's still a lot. So you're gonna be doing a little bit of reading, not too much, don't worry about it. You don't really have to read every skill and be hardcore all about it. You can just pick whatever you like, whatever sounds good, and you'll enjoy the game. So back to what I was saying. With all those skill trees, each skill feels very different from one another. And the skills within themselves, if you play around with a skill tree, it can also feel different. So you have a lot of options. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a lot of options that you're going to want to try out because they all feel good. Throwing a freaking light bulb, or dropping down a meteor from the sky, or you're equipping hammers that spin around you, they all feel good. Every ability here feels good, and most of them are viable. They're pretty balanced. The devs did a great job to balance all the abilities out. So there isn't like one ability that's just horrible that you can't play with. Most of them you can use them all. You can reach endgame with all of them, and it's fun. What makes this game so good are the items. So the game is basically an item chase. You're always chasing that better item, that better bow, that better dagger, that better helmet. And it's really rewarding. There's so many different items, and then you have the crafting system on top of that. Oh, the crafting system. They have perfected the crafting system. In my opinion, it's the best crafting system in any ARPG. Again, it's not too complicated, not too simple, and it gives you a lot of options to play around with each of your items. I'm not going to go into depth for the crafting system because that requires another video, which I actually did. So if you want to watch that, check it out. I'll leave a link for that. But as I was saying, the items are amazing. You also got your legendaries, your exotics, or whatever you call them, your uniques. It drastically change your build. It's like a whole different build when you equip that one item. And here's what's cool. Let's say you're playing as a rogue and you get a hammer. An ice hammer, glacier hammer, whatever you call it, with legendary potential, and it's a unique. That means the item's really good. But you're a rogue, you can't use that. So you have a few options here. With the release of the game, they added an auction house. So if you're playing on the trade league, you could trade that and get money for that. But what you also could do is put it in your stash and then go create a new character and give it to that character. And now you got a whole nother character with a completely unique build and a badass hammer. And then you play that character and then you get a dope ass bow. So what do? You put it in your stash and you create a new character, and it keeps going. There's always going to be another item. Trust me, even after 200, 300 hours, you're going to find another item that you've never seen before with unique affixes, with awesome everything on it, and then you just create a new character because you want to try that item out. And you reach endgame with it, and you delete every boss, and you feel rewarded. So in Diablo 4, you have stupid affixes that just keep repeating themselves, like 10% damage to vulnerable enemies, 10% cold damage, 10% damage, 10% damage increase for whatever. It's the same freaking affix, just a different name or a different word. It's the same thing. Here, no, you got plenty of affixes, and resistances also work, unlike Diablo. But you got an affix that turns your shurikens into lightning shurikens that do lightning damage based off of your lightning resistance. So the more lightning resistance you have, the more lightning damage you're going to do with your shurikens. Now, is that too complicated? Not really. Is that too simple? Also no. So it's perfect. Now, endgame consists of mapping, which is kind of similar to Path of Exile's mapping. You go in, you do these maps, you get different rewards based off of the map you do, and each map has a different affix for the enemies that you're going to fight. So some maps will give enemies more crit, other maps will give them more damage, more cold damage, and so on and so forth. As you're going through these maps, the enemies are going to drop keys. You use those keys to enter those dungeons, and one dungeon allows you to gamble for items from currency specifically obtained from that dungeon. Another dungeon allows you to upgrade your uniques, which is really cool. You can upgrade your uniques and add different affixes to them, and that makes those items so much stronger. And then you got the arena, which is basically waves of enemies that keep coming at you. You can do this infinitely, or you could do a specific number of waves with a boss at the end that drop different rewards. As you're doing all the endgame activities, you're going to fight different bosses. And I'm glad to say that the game released with a variety of bosses, not just one boss. No, there's multiple bosses, and each boss feels different. Their abilities and skills are well telegraphed, so you can dodge them. And they're not easy, honestly. You have to really focus on the abilities and dodge each one. It's very quick pace. You're not just standing there and hitting, unless you have a lot of health and armor on your build. But you're going to be dodging a lot, and you have to make sure that you're aware of each boss's abilities, and you'll die quite a few times if you don't know what the boss mechanics are. As you can see, there's plenty to do here in the end game. You're not going to be bored doing the same exact nightmare dungeon over and over and over and over. I mean, this is a $35 game, and it has more endgame content and more content in general than Diablo IV, which is a $70 game. Can you imagine that? Don't waste your $70 on Diablo. Play Last Epoch. Now, if you still haven't made up your mind on Last Epoch, let me say one thing. This game is for the hardcore casual player. If you want to play this game for a few hours a day to 8 hours a day, you can do that. You decide how much and how you would like to play this game. If you want to play it a lot, you could do that and you're going to feel rewarded. If you don't want to play it that much, you can also do that and you will also feel rewarded. So there's a lot of variety for the different kinds of player that can play this game. Before I go, I just want to give credit to the developers of the game. They're called 11th Hour Game, and they just did a great job. I mean, if you look at the game and where it started and where it's at right now, you can really tell how much effort the devs put into the game and how much they care. They really care. They're really supportive of the game, and they actually listen to the community. Not like some other devs we all know. They have forums, they have a Discord, you go on there, you talk to them, they're very helpful. You can report the bug in game too. You can tell them what your issue is, what balance issues, bugs, whatever it is. And the community is really helpful. Every time I go into the community's Discord, I ask a question. Someone answers politely, very nicely, and even in game you can ask questions in game and someone will answer you. That just goes to show, if the developer loves the game, the community is going to love the game. There's no hate, everyone's nice, and they're awesome devs. I honestly applaud them. That was all for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you for all the support. See y'all later. Peace.